positivity or looking for encouragement. Temia Brinson aims to educate you, to give you the push to believe, to have the mindset for success. Mindset for success. To have the mindset for success. To have the mindset for success.
All right. Welcome to the Mindset for Success TV show. I'm Temia Brinson, your host, and our guest today seems to be a regular, Mr. Russell Drake. Okay, he's a community advocate and public speaker, and he also is the CEO and founder of Build Black Daily. All right. Welcome back, Russell. And I see you're on location. What are you doing? I know you're in Orlando. What's up?
Good morning, Dr. Brinson. I thank you for the opportunity once again. The Mindset for Success podcast is reaching people near and far and awakening the community to get them in a positive mindset, as well as giving them the critical elements to look at things in our communities. I am out here at St. Mark AME Church's toy giveaway, where we're giving away toys and bikes to people in the community at Willie Mays Park, in the heart of the Black community in Orlando, Richmond Heights community. Let me see if I can get all behind me. Yeah, we got a bunch of people out here
Okay.
doing some good stuff, trying to help our community. We all in it together, and everybody adds in different ways. And let me give a shout out to Bubbaloo's Barbecue of Altamont, Black-owned business, who's out here providing the food and beverage for these children today.
Awesome. Awesome. See, that's what I like. Giving back to the community. And that's in what church is that? Where is that again?
This is St. Mark African Methodist Episcopal Church, located in 1968 Bruton Boulevard.
On Bruton. Okay.
It's led by Pastor Reverend Dr. Terrence R. Gray the First.
Okay.
Awesome pastor, been here since 2004, doing great things in our community.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. See, that's what I like to see. Love it. Okay. So let's get into this trial review
Let's
because
get into it.
it's been a minute. We've been on holiday break and it's been a minute. So right now we're on the death of Daunte Wright trial. Officer Kim Potter, he testified this week. I think yesterday she testified.
Yes.
The testimony could be like, the centerpiece of the defense because they have no other case but to put her on. Um, she's on for first and second degree manslaughter charges. And so the state rested its case on Thursday, and they presented more than 24 witnesses over a period of 6 days. But a police expert testified that Kim Potter, the former officer that shot Daunte Wright, um, he's stating that she wasn't justified in using deadly force when she fatally shot Daunte Wright. But when the prosecution put on their case, the ex officer's police chief, the former police chief, um, law enforcement expert, and other defense witnesses were called to the stand Thursday, and her former boss testifying that I'm sorry, I said the prosecution before. I meant the defense testified that there was no violation or policy, procedure, or law. No violation of policy, procedure, or law. After they reviewed the body camera and other video following the April 11th shooting. So my question is, which argument do you agree with? Do you agree with the prosecution that says she wasn't justified, or the defense that says that there was no violation?
Mhm. First, let me say my sincere condolences go out to the Wright family, um, not just in the tragic killing of their son, but also just in the holiday season, as well as all these other families who are missing people in this season. Uh, it's an interesting thing, right? Law enforcement defends law enforcement more often than not when there is a window to do so. And how fitting is this? This occurred right in the state of Minnesota, where we saw the tragic murder of George Floyd.
Right.
What you have here is a person saying if there's anything that remotely poses a danger, then it's acceptable for lethal force. And that's where we have a gross disagreement in the communities with. I'm gonna tell you who else has a gross disagreement with that. The U.S. military has a gross disagreement with that.
Yeah.
The standards that are held for our law enforcement are totally different than that held for the U.S. military. And the U.S. military, if something like that happened, I'm talking about the person that did that would be under the jail right now,
Hmm.
immediately, and then they go to military court. So uh, we're saying it's excusable for incompetence, alleged incompetence, leading to the murder of a young man. So it's horrible that the expert, that somebody's allegedly an expert. See, I think we need independent uh, persons to be these experts,
Hmm.
because when you're
Right.
already on the side of the blue line, then you're already anywhere else that's a conflict of interest, clearly. But we say, yeah, this is an expert. Let me look at it. Yeah, if I were to say that could possibly happen with me, and it's superbly hard to prosecute and convict officers for things of this sort. Again, I disagree. The stance should have been is that when I look at it, the small threat did not have to be mitigated with lethal force. And
Right.
and it's like if I think I'm shooting a water gun and I'm shooting a live pistol and it shoots and kills somebody, I'm going to jail. You know,
Hmm.
I'm going to jail. Doesn't matter what the situation. It needs to be the same
Exactly.
across the board. And it's sad that in this case, I get a bad feeling about this case. That's a bad feeling that we're going to be upset with the verdict.
Yeah, me too. I do too. And the fact that they put her on the stand and she did all that crying, just like Cal Rittenhouse. I'm like, so because they know how to. It seems to be like some kind of a science where they know how to sway a certain type of jury. So, but Kim Potter's the former officer, she testified Friday. Now her testimony, she testified that she gotten a new taser model, right? Days before the shooting.
Hmm.
And she was issued the new taser on March the 26th. She shot Daunte Wright on April the 11th, okay? And she told
Hmm.
the jurors that she never deployed the device while on duty. And I quote, she says, I would take my taser out on rare occasions, but I do not believe I ever deployed it. So my question is, what does this sound like to you? Just being a regular person watching the testimony, is this an excuse or is this an actual valid reason for using deadly force by quote unquote mistake? So just picture it. She's on the stand, she's testifying, she's trying to justify her actions. Okay. So is this an excuse or is this a valid reason? What do you think?
I think it's a garbage excuse beyond means. If I were to put myself in that officer's shoes, and I'm trying to apprehend anybody, I don't first I don't even know why you're reaching down to grab the taser in the
Mhm.
first place in that fashion at that range. Let alone not knowing the difference between the weight of a taser and a fully loaded uh, firearm. And then it's like it's a lie until you get out of it now. It's
Right.
no different with Rittenhouse. Like you said, you get up there, you whip up some tears, you try to get some sympathy. See, Daunte Wright can't speak for himself. He can't speak for himself. He's
Right.
deceased. He can't. Nor could the people in the Rittenhouse trial. It's like you're big and bad when you have these firearms. Then when you wrongfully do something and it gets captured on tape, then you want everybody to feel sorry for you and you play the victim. That's
Mhm.
nonsense and that's garbage. I hope the jury isn't falling for it. I do think that Minnesota has the ability to carry out justice in a stronger sense.
Mhm.
It's going to come down to just what they believe and what they see. And to me, it was murder. I mean, it was manslaughter at minimum. It
Right.
wasn't premeditated. It was manslaughter. And you have to own these tragic mistakes. Now, that
Mhm.
doesn't take away from the persons in law enforcement who believe in serving and protecting, and at all costs. I don't take away from that. But again, if I equate it to the U.S. military, where you have persons who can be 18 years old go over to another country that is hostile and their lives are in danger, if they pull that trigger and shoot somebody that is unarmed, they are done. They're
Yeah, no.
completely done. And,
Absolutely.
and that's at 18 years old. So you're going to tell me that persons who've been on forces for multiple decades, who have experience, who've been trained, that they're accidentally doing this stuff and we're just pacifying it. That spells the problem with the police culture in America. And
Mhm.
as we know, the police culture actually initially started in being hunting down runaway slaves.
I
See, it goes
know.
back to that root, and that is the reason that we can't equate them to the military, because they were just retrieving property, retrieving slaves, and then went to say, okay, let's now it's enabled people to hide behind the mask of the law,
Yeah, it's
and
like it's their first instinct
hmm
is to pull the
absolutely,
trigger.
yeah, but it's their first instinct with persons of our melanin complexion. See,
Mhm.
these incidents aren't happening all over in white communities or Asian communities even. And if they were, there'd be a huge problem.
Right.
I remember a few years ago there was in Tennessee a man was belligerent and drunk. It was literally strangling an officer. No taser was pulled out. They were trying to
Yeah.
hold the man back, just holding him. And I'm like, nobody shot or
I
anything of
don't
the
see
sort.
why they couldn't have did that with Daunte.
They
Like, it's
they didn't
really
want to.
sad.
Yeah, they didn't want to. And this may even fall in the category where they say there are these implicit biases that's been inculcated in society for centuries. There have been. And people haven't let go of some things. So they see black man, even in this park right now. Here I am standing in the park doing an interview. Who knows? If I just put my hands up in the air and wave them too much, somebody could say, oh, what's that in his hand? What's that in his
Mhm.
hand? And it's like, we're doing a service project. Leave us alone. People this Daunte Wright was getting stopped for traffic violation, if I'm correct, right?
Right.
Traffic. Yeah, this is a
That
traffic
he didn't
stop.
even know about. It was just lingering out there, and when they ran his license because he got pulled over, and when they ran the information, then it popped up. And,
Right.
so it was a surprise when he mentioned it, to Dante Wright. So that's why the knee-jerk reaction with him, that's what we got to teach our young men, don't have that knee-jerk reaction, stay calm. You know what I mean? And even
And
the
it,
black officer was in his ear. He was like, "Don't do it," because he can feel Dante was about to run, and he was like, "Don't do it." And that's why I say that's their first, instinct is to be pull the trigger because Officer Kim Potter, she should have let the black officer handle it.
of course,
Like, I really wonder, I wanna ask her. It hasn't been asked yet in the trial, I don't think. I watched a few, bits of it 'cause, we have jobs and work. So, but I did gather her testimony in the cross examination. I don't why didn't they ask, like, what was going through your mind? Why didn't you let the other officer handle it?
that I agree with you. I was wondering the same thing. I try to not to speculate too much on the prosecution. Now in some instances I know the prosecution and law enforcement do a lot together. So to me, I'm not sure if they're putting together the strongest case overall.
I'm not
I know
happy
with
so
I
far.
know with Derek Chauvin was on trial, they literally had a brother that stepped back left his private practice to step in and work with the prosecutor's office
Right.
to take that case. And I don't think it's been the same in the Daunte Wright case. I think they're trying to piece things together as well as keep a decent relationship and not alienate law enforcement. And that shouldn't be the case. It should be
Right.
cut down the middle. Look,
Yeah, this is a different team, and I don't think this team is doing that good of a job as before. Did your mic cut out? You hear me, Russell? Okay. Can you let's see. Yeah, can you go out and come back in? All right. All right, guys. So we're gonna wait on him to come out and then come back in. But as I was stating, I'm really not happy with the prosecution. If you guys has been following the case and I know you guys have to work like we do, but I've been catching it back and forth in between breaks and then in the evening pulling it up. And I'm really not happy with the prosecution. I don't think that they're putting up a strong enough case. I don't think they're putting emphasis on the fact that she wasn't justified in her action, even if it was um a mistake and with the taser. Let's say she did pick the right weapon and it actually was the taser. I don't feel like she using the taser wasn't necessary. Okay. Because using the taser only, you know,
Okay. Am I back in?
yeah. Okay, using the taser to incapacitate him, but that still wasn't necessary because the black officer was there. She should have let him handle it.
Yes. You're 1,000% correct. Um, and not only, see, I think this is where we even have these problems. Even when the opportunity is there to mitigate and de escalate a situation, it gets amplified and aggravated. And it's known that that's going to happen. And then again, it's super aggressive at that moment, and now it's super passive. That, oh, I'm not that type of person. This isn't what I would do. But
Right.
it all changes. There's a
Mhm.
saying where they say, if you want to see, you want to see the true character of a person, give them power, give them authority. So when
Amen. That's
when
true.
these yeah, these officers get authority, they do whatever they want, and it doesn't even depend on the rank that
Mhm.
this badge outranks you as a person. That's the
Right.
problem I have. That's the real problem. It's like, I want you to do your job, but I don't want you to abuse and misuse it. People are, all over the nation now. Now, when the officer is telling Daunte Wright not to run, to be honest, that can be scary too.
Right.
I mean, mind you, he's right there in Minnesota, where we saw a man that could defenseless, completely defenseless position, who was drug out of a vehicle, laid on the ground, with
Mhm.
held down by three people, while one officer had the audacity to put his knee on his neck with the full
Right.
body of it, and 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 nobody stopped him. So if
Mhm.
that man had an inkling of fear, it's very warranted. Heck, run. Like it's better to run than to sit there and get killed, right? So
I
I can't be
know,
mad at him.
but I mean, I'm not mad at Dante, right? I'm just it's just disheartening because that's the issue. That's why we're pushing to have black officers and non-minority other ethnicities to apply for these jobs and get on the force because they have more relationship with us. And him as a brother officer, it seems like he was really in a position to talk to the boy because he felt that he was gonna run. So he was telling him, like, you can hear it on the video. He said it quietly to him in his ear, like, "Don't do it, don't run," and you would hope that having him there would have Dante trust him enough, but it didn't happen.
Well, see, I think even then, again, just handcuff the man, just hold him. I mean, they were strong enough just to hold that brother. They didn't, there was no need to see. I almost think it's a game too when they're gonna let people, it's like if he's running, then he's running. What's the worst thing that can happen? He's got a traffic violation. He's not somebody who's wanted for murder. He's not somebody who's terrorizing communities. He has a traffic
Exactly.
violation. We all have traffic violations. Now, it's some officers that need some traffic violations because I see them turn on their sirens to make it through a light and then turn off
Mm-hmm.
their sirens and keep going
Right.
and don't care what they've done to traffic or who they've blocked or pigeoned in the corner. So I've seen that. So and they don't get tickets. The reason right now with the technology, we can give tickets to anybody for speeding. We can
Yeah.
calculate how fast you get from point A to point B. But if we do that, we're gonna give a lot of officers some tickets who've been
Yeah.
running wild for a while. So I get it. That's why we don't want to do it. It's like this above the law mentality has to stop. It's like we're all in this community together. And the officers are
Yeah.
here to serve and protect. That line where they say what I'm trying to do is make it home every night, that's unacceptable. That's not in the police procedure. That's not in the manual. That's not taught at one
I
academy
know.
that you
Your
need to
your
just make it home at
I
night.
know your agenda is that everybody go home. Like for
That's it.
real.
That's it. That's it. That I've not heard anybody say that yet. That I want to make sure that all of us get home safely. That should be the
Mm-hmm.
first thing out of their mouth. As a matter of fact, I'm going to send an email to the sheriff about that. Tell them, hey, we want to make sure everybody gets it home safely. Now I understand. Besides, just show me your info. You have the right to remain silent, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all that gets said. So it's even I know they're having even giveaways today, and those giveaways don't pacify the community. Those giveaways don't build trust. See, what builds trust is accountability. You got to say when somebody's
Right.
wrong, they're wrong. I know it's like we used to have the motto where no child left behind. It seems like in law enforcement they have that no officer left behind, regardless of what they did that's in the wrong.
Right.
And
Right.
that's where we got a real problem about it.
So Russell, let me play this clip because this is part of former Officer Kim Potter's testimony, and I want you to watch this because keep this in mind, right? This is a veteran officer of 26 years, right? The day of the
Mhm.
shooting, she was acting as a training officer. The day she shot Daunte Wright, okay? 26 years on the force. She was a
Mhm.
training officer, training her colleagues that needed assistance and needed training. Mike Peterson, he's the use of force instructor, and he testified that Kim Potter passed the latest taser training 6 weeks before she shot and killed Daunte Wright. Okay. And then he also testified that during training, officers are put through lifelike situations. Okay. So when you watch this clip, think about she's a veteran officer, 26 years. She was a training officer. She'd been through training for the taser just 6 weeks ago. Okay. And the officers are going through lifelike situations during their training. So let me play this clip because her testimony, and I didn't see no tears, by the way, but let me play this clip.
Do you swear?
Tonight, former Minnesota police officer Kim Potter breaking down in court, sobbing on the stand at her trial. She's charged with manslaughter in the fatal shooting of 20-year-old Daunte Wright during a traffic stop.
I remember yelling, taser, 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 and nothing happened. And then he told me I shot him.
Potter recalling the moments she shot Wright in the chest with her gun that she says she mistook for her taser. In April, Wright was initially pulled over for an expired tag and an air freshener hanging from the rearview mirror, which is illegal in Minnesota. Brooklyn Center police officers discovered Wright had an outstanding warrant for a misdemeanor weapons violation. When the officer Potter was training tried to arrest Wright, he struggled to get back in the car and Potter fired.
I shot him! Oh my God!
Prosecutors arguing Potter acted recklessly and negligently, regardless of her intent, pressing her about her training in taser use, whether she should have known the difference between her taser holstered on her left and her gun holstered on her right.
We aren't always drawing our tasers from our holsters. A lot of times we were in plain clothes during training.
Okay, well, your policy that you're required to abide by, that you signed off on, requires that you perform reaction hand draws, true?
During the training, yes.
It also includes the reason for that, right?
Yes.
And that's so that you reduce the possibility of accidentally drawing and firing a firearm, right?
Yes.
Potter seen here after the shooting, inconsolable. The body camera footage previously shown to jurors. Today, she broke down again when grilled by the prosecution.
You stopped doing your job completely. You didn't communicate what happened over the radio, right?
No.
You didn't make sure any officers knew what you had just done, right?
No.
You didn't run down the street and try to save Daunte Wright's life, did you?
No.
You were focused on what you had done, because you had just killed somebody. Right?
I'm sorry it happened. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to hurt anybody.
The defense saying it should have been a third officer, Sergeant Michael Johnson, to call in the shooting since he was the supervising officer on the scene. The defense has rested. The state and defense attorneys will now present their closing arguments on Monday.
Okay. Now, Russell, what do you think? Again, I didn't see no tears, and just like Kyle Rittenhouse, she might move some people, but it's really conflicting to me to believe how can you make such a deadly mistake, and you are a veteran of 26 years, and you've been through training, and you are actually a training officer. So, how do you feel? Do you buy this? Because I don't.
Absolutely not. I think it's a less than mediocre acting performance. Only bested by Kyle Rittenhouse because at least he tried to act like he was going to fall out and hyperventilate. But this was horrible. I didn't go for it at all. I didn't go for it on the scene either. She knew exactly what was going on. She shot the man. She realized, oh man, I'm in some stuff. Now let me get my acting job on so I can change the course of my life. It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. Again, she's exercised her privilege, her white privilege to try to, escape. She's seen Rittenhouse get off. She's dependent on the
Exactly.
law. She's dependent on being white. She's dependent on people to feel sorry for her. Oh, she's dependent on people to send money to pay for her defense attorney that she doesn't even know, but who like and just support the cause of white supremacy, that white is right and black is wrong anytime. So she's just appealing to those people out there that say, oh, she has cried. She is clearly sorry for this. It's like there's a life that's taken. There's a family that won't be able to embrace their family member at the holiday season. There's a person
Right.
that should not have been shot. And the fact that she's been on the force for decades, she knows better. She knows
Mhm.
better, and just figured I just try this once. And if it was gross incompetence, let's say it was gross incompetence, that incompetence is still no excuse. Just
Right.
like the man had expired tag, they looked and saw he had a warrant out for something else. There's no excuse for him. And
Mhm.
it's like when's the same stuff going to be applied across the board? Again, we're
Right.
all in this community together, and we just have to see accountability. And if it means that somebody who's sworn to serve and protect and has made that bad of a mistake and error and misjudgment has to go down, they have to. It's not like
Right.
this didn't cause somebody to miss an interview. This didn't cause somebody to get their car towed. This didn't cause somebody to not get a job. This didn't cause somebody to lose money. This caused a loss of life.
A life.
Of life.
Now I think I think it was a mistake, but my thing is though, we have to ask ourselves, why is it your first reaction, your knee-jerk reaction is to pull the trigger? I don't think that the mistake was taser, taser, taser. I think the mistake is that you felt like you had to intervene and take action. Like it was another officer there already. So, and not only that, even if it was a legitimate mistake, a life was taken, so you still have to pay consequences. And therefore, thus, the charges of manslaughter versus first degree murder. So you still have to answer for the manslaughter. I still want to see you do some time because you took a life, even if it was by mistake.
Yeah, and you're 1,000% right, Dr. Brinson. See, the failure to act on this is sad to me, right? It's sad the failure for them, even for her to come to trial and want to defend herself. I think you at some point you just got to fall on it and say there's nothing else for her to say I killed this person. And you let's look at this. There's a situation that happened in East St. Louis, Illinois, about 3 months ago, where there's a woman whose 5 children died in a home fire. Did you see that?
No,
These
I didn't
children,
see it. I
yeah,
have to
they
go back
died
and
in an
look.
apartment fire, and this woman, she's buried all 5 kids at the same time. They're youth. Those are her children. She's so distraught. I think she wanted to jump in and die with them. To be honest,
Oh my
after it's
goodness.
all said and done, because these 5 children died and they felt somebody has to be accountable, they are now looking into her for negligence and leaving them alone.
Mm,
This black woman who lost all 5 of her children, they're saying there has to be accountability. Why are you, if they're going to do that, it's like, okay, you want accountability, and she's lost everything. Here's
yeah.
somebody that was just killed. Why don't we hold
Hmm.
our officers to a similar state of accountability?
I know.
Everybody else has to be accountable except them. It's like, do you take the badge off? Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know why they did that, but because or well, it's not even just the badge, because Kyle Rittenhouse gets away with it, right? If
Hmm.
it's just in the notion of somebody who has a badge or thinks they have a badge, George Zimmerman, Kyle Rittenhouse,
Yeah, they
taking
try to
pictures.
put them in that light.
Yeah, they're in the same boat. They want it. I'm aspiring to be like you. So when are we gonna really call it what it is? That means there's a bad culture that needs to be curbed, a
Hmm.
horrible culture that shifted over centuries, and now it's like enough is enough. We've had people that have gotten in power at the top levels in law enforcement agencies, and then we see after they move out of there, things slowly
Right.
trickle backwards. So we take 3 steps forward and 10 back, and that's what we're seeing right now in Minnesota. We took some steps
Hmm.
forward in convicting Officer Chauvin. Now, are they going to take some steps backwards and not prosecute the woman that killed Daunte Wright? That is the question.
Yeah, I mean, I have some concerns. I don't think the prosecution is doing all that great. And she got on the stand and did her little grand performance. So I'm a little concerned. Um, but this is why I hate to charp on this point, but it just irks me so bad because people are saying that well, people that are backing her saying that, it's possible that she choked a veteran officer. This, you know what I'm saying? So I still have a problem with that. Let me just repeat this again. She is a veteran officer of 26 years. She was a training officer that day she shot Dante Wright. Okay. She was trained on the taser just 6 weeks before the shooting. Okay. And the officers, when they go through the training, they are put through lifelike situations. So I really find it challenging about this so called mistake. And it's possible that she choked. And my thing is, even if she did choke, she still should have some consequences. But let me post also this picture. And I want to ask you and the audience, you guys who are watching, let me ask you, look at this picture. Now, do you think this was an honest mistake? I just want you, let me post this. You see that? The yellow is the taser, and that's the real gun. How can you make that mistake? Just take a look at that. This is courtesy of CNN.
Yeah.
So that's why that irks me so bad, that she's really getting this all of this attention, and her defense is being allowed to put this forth as a real defense. Oh, it's a mistake, and she may have choked. And girl, like, for real, you've been on the force for 26 years. You've been through extensive training, and you're supposedly a training officer, and you
Supposedly.
make this mistake. This clear as day, the difference.
Yeah. It's not even just that. Even in drawing it, it's the weight. It's the weight. You got a fully loaded weapon. You have a taser. The weight difference is huge, and she's been on the force long enough to know that. Again, you said she's training. If that's training, imagine what would have happened if the camera wasn't rolling.
Mhm.
She just, the training. The lesson is, hey man, just chalk it up and we just keep it going. That's what we do. It needs to be a real lesson learned. The lesson has to be that nobody is above the law. Accountability happens everywhere,
Right.
and nowhere else is this acceptable. No other places is this acceptable. It's not in any branch of the military. This is totally unacceptable beyond belief. Beyond belief. Even I'm gonna tell you how bad it is. If that officer fired that gun and it didn't even hit anybody, and he wasn't supposed to fire. I mean, in the military, if that soldier fires that gun, that officer's got that soldier's got to account for that in itself.
Mhm.
It's like this person tools out the wrong weapon, fires the wrong weapon, hits and kills a person. You got to be held accountable.
And she had it
not
in front of her.
in
Like,
front of
it
her.
was in front of her saying taser, taser, taser. When you was doing that and you extended it in front of you, you mean to tell me you couldn't see that was yellow? Like,
Yeah,
for real?
yeah. And see, we have this struggle with accountability. Again, like I said, the white is right mentality, and it is it's going on around the nation. If now what I counter with, if the person that shot Daunte Wright was a black officer, there'd be no questions. There'd be no
Right.
questions. They'd be like, yep, he did wrong, and just chop it up and prosecute him, and that'd be that, or her. That's a fact. We know this. We know this. Oh, the revolving door of the law. So we have problems again in our community in trusting and seeing that the change that
Yeah, this
seemed
is
to be
why.
good. We see a good the right conviction of Chauvin, and now we see Chauvin's not even
Mhm.
going to contest the other charges. He's like, all right, you know what? And I bet his lawyers probably said, hey, look, man, there's no way out of this. Okay,
Exactly.
you can't explain. I still like to know why on earth did he think it was acceptable to put his knee on a man's neck
I
for
think
eight
he
and a half
was
minutes?
high. I told you, I think
Uh,
he was
he,
high.
even if he's high, it's some people that's been high and ain't been that high enough. And if he was high, why them other officers sit there with him like it was nothing too? One of them saying they was asking him, "Is this long enough? He been down a while." instead of knocking him and saying, "Quit this stuff." And and
Mhm.
it's like we see a favorable verdict with Ahmaud Arbery. I think. Are we going to talk about that later in the show?
Yeah, let's take a quick little break, because let me get my questions for that, because this one, the death of Daunte Wright's trial, is so fresh, and I was just moved by her testimony. Like, girl, really? You really trying to pull this? You fighting for your life, ain't you? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me go ahead. Let's take a 30-second break, and let me get my questions. We'll be right back, you guys. All right, all right. We are back. We are back. If you're just tuning in, we are the Mindset for Success TV show, and I'm Temia Brinson, your host. And our guest today is Russell Drake, and he is a community advocate and public speaker. And he's also the CEO and founder of Build Black Daily. And this second segment, we're going to do the trial review for the death of Ahmaud Arbery. And the three men that was convicted of murdering Ahmaud in Brunswick, they're going to be sentenced next year, January, next month. They're going to be sentenced January the 7th, 2022. So watch out for that for the sentencing. And during the trial, Russell, the prosecutor, uh, Daunte, I think her name is,
Hmm.
she did a series of questions that I was just like, yes. And I feel like that's what's missing in Dante Wright's case. But she did a series of questions because um, Michael and the father and the other guy, well, mainly Michael. He was trying to use the self-defense claim. And so she was asking us several questions to disarm that and destroy that argument. She asked whether Ahmad was unarmed. Did he pose a legitimate threat? She asked, did he reach into his pockets? Did he yell? Did he threaten you? Did he have weapons, a gun, or a knife? And to all of the questions, Michael answered no. He just ran. And so Miss Donikoski argued that the three men had no immediate knowledge that a crime was committed. And she said, isn't it true from your training? Here we go again, training, that you need two parts of probable cause. You need probable cause that a crime was actually committed and that the person you're arresting is actually the one who committed the crime. So I thought that that was a very good tactic or how she destroyed the self-defense claim. And again, I think that's missing in Dante Wright's case. And I hope the prosecution see this show because I might send it to them actually because they need to get on the ball. But anyway, apparently, let me go back to the former prosecutor before Miss Donna Kasi was assigned over there. So apparently, the former prosecutor, um, she didn't prosecute at all. She didn't bring the case at all. She didn't ask these questions. She didn't look into it. She instead ignored the case. So she's being charged now. So, but two parts. First of all, what do you say? Like, do you agree with me, or how do you think about what should happen in Dante Wright's case? Because the prosecutor in this case did an awesome job. What do you think?
Um, yeah, I got to take my hats off to the prosecutors in the state of Georgia. It seemed like they were definitely on it. They worked this aggressively. They put their best to the table, and they brought forth a good strategy to debunk anything that the defense may bring forward. I think when you look at it, it kind of spells out when people think that they are that somebody's really guilty, they go with a more aggressive tone. When they feel like they want to help out people, they go with a more passive tone. And to be honest, I even thought about that somewhat in the Rittenhouse trial. It didn't seem like that prosecution was as aggressive or motivated as you would hope. So
Mhm.
right here in the state of Georgia, it was clear that they worked it. They also switched out personnel, as you know, because initially the district attorney is the one that allowed the killers to get away initially. And even
Yeah.
when the officers wanted to arrest them for the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, they said
Mhm.
no, don't arrest them. They let them go, and I believe that that prosecutor has since been charged, and they're going to soon start
Yeah.
a trial against her,
Yeah.
as they rightfully should. And it is a glaring difference though when people are
Mhm.
motivated and they know it's wrong, and now they in this case they want to toe the line. They don't want to they don't want to, well, we don't want to fracture our relationship. And it's like, yeah, we're all in it though,
Right,
and
because the
that's the
the
bad
father
problem.
yeah, because the father was a ex-officer, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's an ex-officer.
Mhm, the
So
good old boy
now this
network.
person, yeah, let me, yeah. It's like even though we did completely wrong, had no justification, can't
Mhm,
logically make sense out of any of it, outside of you trying to not even play judge, jury, and executioner, but just wrongfully killing a black man. You don't know what that man did at
right.
all. So it,
Well,
you
I
know,
wanna
it's
ask you, Russell, what do you think, um, what would you do in this case if something was done and you know you're innocent or a family member or whatever, but they refuse to bring charges? Because in this case, um, they had the former prosecutor, she had the mishap of having a praying woman against her because Ahmaud's mother was a praying woman. Once she found out that that wasn't going to go any further, it was being swept under the rug. She got on her knees, honey, and all of a sudden you saw the captains being switched. You know what I mean?
hmm
God just moved her out of the way. That's what prayer does, okay? But behind the scenes, I don't know really what happened, but I'm assuming because she picked up Ben Crump or, they connected. So I'm assuming it was a little pushback on his part and he knew how to make some noise with that prosecutor and get her out of the way. And like you said, she's actually being charged now for not doing her duty. So what would
yeah,
you do in that situation? Because I mean, I think I would get an attorney and make some noise too.
yeah. I think first you're right. Is praying is the thing. Blessings delayed isn't always a blessing denied.
Hmm.
So when I think prayer is the first thing. Then after that, it is and get outreach into persons, and not just attorneys, but also civic leaders. So the
Hmm.
outreach to persons like the Reverend Al Sharpton, the Reverend Jesse Jackson Senior, uh, Attorney Benjamin Crump, who's literally is
Hmm.
is the Attorney General for Black America now. Um,
Okay.
you know,
I
just
love that
just
term.
the continued sharing of information via social media, bringing more people to the attention of it. I remember first hearing about Ahmaud Arbery, and that it was in what part of Georgia was it in again? It was in
Brunswick.
Brunswick, and I think it
Mhm.
was really right outside of Brunswick though. Whatever the
Yeah,
the city
yeah.
is very
In
small.
the hills.
Yeah. So I remember
Where they was
I
down there hunting, I'm
right.
not gonna say the
So
word, but they was down there hunting us.
oh yeah. So I had never heard of the city. I remember I had to look up. I was like, where is this exactly? I
Mhm.
was looking it up and was, looking at it, and I was like, oh wow. And this was that was like 35 days after it happened that I was reading
Mhm.
about it. And here it took 70 plus days to arrest the people for killing an unarmed man.
Right.
It took 70 plus days. These
Mhm.
persons got to go home. They got to dine. They got to sleep in their bed comfortably. There was no
Right.
evaluation of clothes they were wearing. There was no investigation to see if they had drugs in their system. There was
Mhm.
no assassination on their character, nor threats to their family of any sort.
Right.
They just got to walk around like it was normal, man. We shot and killed a dude. They did nothing.
Yeah. Like we said before, it shouldn't be where you just hunting people down and shooting is your first. I mean, and they're trying to justify their shooting, but even if you're not an officer, like he claimed, Michael, he claimed that he was just trying to talk to him. So
hmm
if you was so-called trained in de-escalation and you just wanted to talk to him, then everybody should go home. Like we were saying before, the role of the officer, even though he was an officer, but so he claimed to be in that role, uh, everybody should go home. So in this case, he was being Rambo. I call it the Rambo complex. You guys call it vigilantism, but I call it the Rambo complex because, they're out there playing like they're cops and they're not.
Yeah, I think it's even worse than just a ramble complex. It's blatant, feeling like that you're in charge of black people. So I'll do whatever I want to these black people, and nobody's gonna stop me for the right, the
Mhm.
wrong, the indifferent. Nobody's curbing my behavior. I'm white, you're black, I'm in the right. So three of us decided that the way they said they wanted to talk to him, yeah, they were yelling at him. Hey, yeah, if you keep moving, I'm gonna shoot your head off. I got a gun. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, man, yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna stop right now. It's like, no, this isn't,
Crazy.
this isn't 200 years ago. Even 200
Mhm.
years, it's like that. We had a problem with that then. But this, who's going to really stop for you then? Even if you're law enforcement, you yell that to me. I may not stop. If you yell, I got this gun out, I'm going to blow your head off if you keep moving. Yeah, what am I going to do? Stop till you can get closer? Then
Mhm.
he, hit him with the vehicle, shoot him and kill him. And then they say he's in the wrong. They say they suspected him of something. And it's like, again, you're not officers. Even if you were officers, you're in the dead wrong.
Right.
Because the video came out, the guy released the video knowing that it was going to get out. He releases it thinking he's going to get off. But no, you're a part of it
Exactly.
too.
I
Silence is
worked that
consent
out
to it.
too. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, it got work. Yeah. And it's like the justice was desperately needed in that case. And so, if there ever was a trade off, see, the Rittenhouse case really ain't involved me, or my concerns, right? It's a glaring look though, because this man felt obliged to shoot and kill people, or go up there with the premise of doing such,
Mhm.
because people were marching for justice in Wisconsin. This guy drives up, gets dropped off by his mom up there. I'm sorry, he didn't drive. Yeah, his parent drops him off with an
Mhm.
illegal firearm and lets him loose up there. In this case, it's very similar. Guy go gets his son, says, "Come on, man, we got to get this black guy right."
Yeah.
With just
Out
gonna go,
there
yeah, man, let's
hunting
go chase him.
black
Let's just
folks.
go chase a black
They
guy
out there in the country
and
hunting black folks.
let's
That's
let's
exactly
go
what went
shoot him
down.
and kill him. And then
Mhm.
again, the travesty of it all is he's assassinated. But after he's assassinated, persons look and try to find character assassinate. So we have the two assassinations, as Attorney Ben Crump would say. The first one where the person's killed. Now let's look at his background and find some reason that he some bad stuff to talk about him for. And it's like it
Right.
doesn't matter what you find. He wasn't supposed to be
Mhm.
killed. Not at all. He
Exactly.
should he wasn't supposed to be attacked. It's a wrongful attack. Now I think the question that we wonder is if Ahmaud Arbery disarmed them with the gun and shot and killed all of them, what happens to Ahmaud Arbery? His life was in danger, right?
I
If we
mean,
go
but
with the
that's
writ,
self-defense.
well, right. If we go with
That's
the
what I
Rittenhouse
think.
verdict,
Yeah. That's what I think
that
happened with Trayvon Martin. Um, I'm disappointed with the prosecution in that case too, because Trayvon Martin actually had the right to self-defense. Yeah, he reached for his gun because he was fighting for his life. Nobody, you know, testified and well, not testified, but nobody argued on behalf of the dead. Like the
right.
dead could not speak on their behalf. And it was actually him. He was the one that was fighting for his life that night. And he was the one that had self-defense, not Zimmerman.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. And see, even the thought, see, that it's become a common line now. After somebody kills people, they say, "Oh, they were reaching for my gun, and
Mhm.
that's why I had to kill them. I had my gun drawn. I was the aggressor, but because they reached for my gun, I'm defensive." And I posed the question: did he really reach for your gun? Or did you have your gun out? Is what I wonder too. Like, did you, was the man running for his life? The boy, rather, was he running for his life because he knew you had a life-threatening weapon and he was running, trying to escape, and you were chasing him? And allegedly
Yeah.
there are no videos of it, but all we
Yeah,
can
but
go by is
it was a video. Oh, Michael,
a
but
Zimmerman.
he missed. Oh yeah, with
Yeah,
Zimmerman.
yeah,
We
yeah.
need to have more cameras. But anyway, for
Well,
McMichael, he messed up because he got caught in a lie. Miss Donikoski, the prosecutor, she caught him and she said, McMichael, he testified that Ahmaud had grabbed a shotgun, right? And she pointed out in a previous testimony, he told an investigator in an earlier interview that he could not remember whether Ahmaud grabbed it or not. So she caught him in that lie, and I think that added to the juror. The juror was listening and saying, "Yeah, nah, he probably didn't
Absolutely.
grab your gun, and you changed that before the trial."
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
He's going from the playbook. See,
Mm.
there's a playbook that we don't know anything about because we're not white supremacists. But there's the playbook that they go by. This is what you say to get out of this. I was in fear for my life.
Mhm.
I didn't know what else he was carrying. He looked aggressive. Oh, and then at the last second, yes, he did reach for my weapon. And it's like it's a playbook. These are repeated lines that
Yeah.
you hear all the time. It's
He
no
messed
different
up
than when,
though. He didn't say it during the
yeah.
interview. Yeah.
See, he didn't review the playbook enough. It's
Mhm.
no different than when officers pin down a black man and say stop resisting, and it's too dark to see what's going on, and all they keep repeating stop resisting, stop resisting. That is the line used across the nation. Stop
See,
resisting.
you about to
You're
get me
resisting.
upset, Russell.
Well, that's
Just
it's,
because you
it,
resist, it should not be a death sentence.
you're
Like, you
right.
shouldn't die just because you resist. That's a knee-jerk reaction. And not only
Yeah.
that, you have, as an officer, have the upper hand. So why are you trying to kill someone who's unarmed just because he resists?
You're right. I mean, you get an argument out of me. They shouldn't. Again, it's the bad culture that needs to be curbed. But seeing this is the mindset for success, and I guess the question is how do we solve this? And I think one we need more normal lawyers who are proficient and aggressive in our city, county, and federal legal systems. And we see that there are differences, and we're doing better than we were 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Next year we make 10 years since the tragic killing of Trayvon Martin.
Mhm.
And here we have 10 years later that similar things are happening, but there's some more accountability. Needs to be a lot more accountability and less people doing these acts across the board. We see the relevance of bringing attention to it, because as you bring attention to it, it definitely puts more pressure on municipalities and county officials to hold people accountable. So that pressure is necessary. If it wasn't for that pressure, there would be no prosecution for the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. None at all.
Right.
None at all. Family would have just been grieving like my son was killed,
Nah,
and
her
everybody
mother,
just walks away.
his mother put that in the heavenlies. She sent them prayers up. That had to
Yes, she did.
change. Yeah.
Yes, she did.
So
And
I
it,
guess a lesson we can take away um, is when nothing moves and there's an actual legal case and they're just not moving on it. First of all, get on your knees. Second of all, get an attorney, and we need better attorney, but get an attorney who actually can have a case against that prosecutor because of their inaction,
yeah,
and get them into legal jeopardy because they're not doing their duty. So that
yeah,
seems to be a winning strategy. And like I said, though, we need better attorneys because that was a good team in the Chauvin case. But now, I mean, this other case, Daunte Wright, I'm not happy with the prosecutor. We need better
no,
attorneys.
yeah, yeah. We need more. There almost needs to be a separate unit that they should consider, like a unit that's not there to codify law enforcement, but a
Mhm.
unit that really investigates law enforcement seriously, without any fear of threat, retribution, and/or alienation uh, from coming at somebody who's in the same system they're in. See, they look at it
Mhm.
like we're all in the same system, and I think that's where it's garbage. Like you say, we're the
Right.
criminal justice system. We in it together. No, we all in this system. All right, it's all one community, so we all in it together.
Mhm.
So if you try to draw the line and say, yeah, the prosecutors and law enforcement on this side, that's nonsense, and that's where we
Right.
miss it. It's like
Mhm.
that already stacks it to say you shouldn't even then you're biased by association. And if there's no bias by association of the sort, then prove it. And
Right.
that's what we're waiting for right now. Till you prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it. And that's what we need to see in our community. And keep pushing people up to be state's attorneys. Keep pushing people
Hmm.
up to lead sheriff departments, police departments. Push people
Make
up
sure
that
they're
look like us.
good though. We need to
That's true too.
advance good people that
True.
that
Yeah.
are good and excellent in their craft.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We have people that are qualified that can get into these roles, and a lot of times they're just pushed out of the way. Like you said, the good old boy network is still in existence.
Hmm.
And yeah, let's push Chad up there. He's so and so's son. He's so and so's nephew. Oh yeah, that's my wife's friend's cousin, and they're pushing him up the ranks instead of somebody who's worked hard, who's labored, who has the training and skill set. It looks
Hmm.
like us. They say no, he's gonna be too lenient towards black folks, and it's like no, he or she's gonna try to show respect, and that's it. It's like yeah, we got to put somebody in there who knows how to keep them in place.
Hmm. Okay,
Again,
well, our time is almost up, but let me get this one question in, Russell, because this is
yeah,
my aunt comment on here, and I know I hear it if I don't ask you her question. Uh, she said, "My question is, this going back to Daunte Wright's case. My question is, did she really need to use the gun or the taser? Why not the handcuffs instead? Seems to me she would have realized it was a gun in her." That's what I said. Seems like to me she would realize that was a gun in her hand before she shot him. What was she thinking? Another young black man gone too soon.
yeah. I thank you for the question. I think she was thinking, I just want to get this over with. I think she's like, I just want to this person's resisting or struggling with us. Let me just get it over with. I don't care if I'm using a taser or a handgun. I'm just gonna fire, and he's gonna stop, and then we're gonna get away with it. And then when she realizes,
Mhm.
oh man, I just shot him on the camera. Now I need to act like I'm on camera and start crying about it.
Yeah.
And and
Now you're trying to save your life after you took a life.
yeah, and no, it wasn't. It was totally not necessary. I mean,
Mhm.
there were three officers. Again, it's
The
like
black officer was right there. Why did she even need to go up in between them?
she didn't. She didn't. I mean, they were right there. They had the situation under control. And in the harshest sense, they could just put them on the concrete. You know,
Mhm.
put them on the concrete. They overpowered them and handcuffed them.
Mhm.
That's it. He was trying to get in the vehicle and get away, which should not. It's like that probably wasn't the smartest thing. But it's like
It was a
even if
knee-jerk
if he would,
reaction. Yeah.
yeah, but even if he would have gotten in his car and got away, heck,
What's
they're
the
gonna
big
be after
deal?
him
You know where
anyway.
he's at. You just go
Yeah,
and pick him up later.
yeah, and I think what was key in the prosecution they said is that after he was killed, there was no attempt. After he was shot, there was no attempt to revive him. There was no attempt to save his life. It was just like, let me preserve me and figure out what am I gonna do
Right.
from here.
On the floor
And
crying
there's the
about what
problem.
you did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's the problem. There could have been there's never in any of these instances of these wrongful killings, is there anybody showing remorse to try to do CPR on somebody?
Yeah,
Heck,
you
the
saw the
the
clip.
last
She was on the floor crying, "Oh my god, oh my god." Not, "Oh my god, call the ambulance. Let's save
none
his
of
life.
that,
Somebody do CPR." Not, "Please save him. Oh my god." It
none
was
of it.
like, "Oh my god, I shot him. Me, you
Yeah,
know.
how am I gonna save myself now? How am I gonna keep myself from getting in trouble? I know they're gonna suspend me with pay and investigate. The dang now and it's the person actually they I don't know if she even knew that she killed him or did she know that I can't, but you would never know if you didn't call the paramedics and act like it. Same thing with Rittenhouse shoots people and runs and keeps running and lies about it.
Mhm.
With George Floyd, they killed a man and then get in the car and drive off. Never checked his pulse or anything to see how he was doing. None of them did.
Right. And
It's
let
the
me just
taking.
post this gun, taser versus gun for the audience once again, because this just
Mm,
irked me to the 10th degree. Like my aunt asked, like, how can you miss that? She was holding it out in front of her saying taser, taser, taser.
you
And
shouldn't.
for the
You should
audience,
not.
this courtesy again, courtesy of CNN. Um, the gun is all black, and the other picture is the taser, which is yellow. It's a big difference, and she had it out in front of her saying taser, taser, taser. Girl, you couldn't see the difference? I know you saw that. And
Hmm.
like you said, Russell, there's a difference in weight as well.
Yeah, and to be honest, if you're that incompetent, you don't need to be holding it. You don't
You
need
shouldn't
to
be
be
an
out there.
officer.
You
Mhm.
shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. Here's something that Stevie Wonder can tell the difference between this.
Okay.
He literally can. So it doesn't. This doesn't require anything. It requires no corrective vision. It requires general concern. That mistake doesn't get made if there's a white person they stop. That mistake
Right.
doesn't get made if it's an Asian person. That mistake gets made because it's a black person. So whether it's a taser, whether it's a handgun, they're gonna fire it.
Hmm. Well, I posed this question to the prosecutor. Hopefully, I'm gonna send this video to them because I'm really perturbed. I'm not happy with how the prosecutor is doing. You guys need to ask her, you know, and in your closing arguments as well, you need to say and point out point blank, did you really have to get involved in that situation? You were the trainee officer that day. It was a black officer right by him. Even when he ran back into he tried to run and try to get back into the car. Why didn't you let the black officer handle it? There was another officer there. Why didn't you let them handle it? Even if you felt like you had to get involved, what was the reason for trying to retain him when the black officer already had one handcuff? He was trying to put one handcuff on him. Just let him handle it. And then not only that, let's say, like you stated before, what if he did get away, let him go. You know where he's gonna be at. You know what I mean?
Right,
Pick him up later. Why
right,
was the use of force necessary? So that's what I want the prosecutor to hammer in. They need to hone in on that, and let it be known, even if this was a mistake from the get-go. The first point is you shouldn't even gotten involved. It wasn't necessary. He was no threat to you. And fleeing should not be an excuse just because he tried to flee. So what? It was a traffic incident. Not,
right.
you know what I'm saying? It was a traffic charge. It wasn't anything like murder, like you said, or anything like that. So, but let me wrap this up. I'm gonna give you your last word. Anything you want to comment on or promote right now? And again, just let the audience know you're at an event, a toy drive right now at St. Mark AME. Wow, they're still out there. That's
Oh yeah,
amazing. Now, Willie
yep.
Mays Park, that's amazing. Community outreach. That's what I love. Okay, so let me give the floor to you. Anything you want to say right now, Russell?
Yes, I just want to give thanks to Mindset for Success TV show, who's continually, I think, touched on serious, real issues that sometimes get glossed over by the mainstream media. So support Black media. The work of Dr. Temia Brinson is very paramount to our communities locally in Central Florida, as well as reaching people around the nation. So please continue to tune in 2022 because it's probably, I think, the last one of 2021. Um, we keeping a mindset for success. We have to hold ourselves accountable in our law enforcement. I encourage people to tell law enforcement that if they want to go home safely, they should also echo that to anybody they stop and say, hey, we're all trying to go home safely. It's a mindset for success, and that's how we succeed in doing it by shifting our mindset. So again, thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Brinson. And I pray everybody out there be blessed and safe in this holiday season. One love.
Amen. Amen. So, Russ, I want to thank you for coming on. And like you said to the audience, we're going to take a holiday break. Next week is Christmas. Enjoy your Christmas. And then the week after that is New Year's. So I want to say, God bless you all out there. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And next year, we're going to come back strong and pray that we come to you with better and more relevant content for you, stuff that you can use, stuff that you can, have a working content for your life and to enhance your life, and also to give you that critical thinking, because we bring issues to you like finances and things for your household and to enhance your household, your personal life. But we also touch on community issues, and that's where the critical thinking comes in, and how we can better improve ourselves and our community as a whole. Okay. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next year. Until then, look out for our flyer for when we come back on in January. But until then, you guys be blessed.
You have the mindset for success.